Today, I want to briefly talk through some tips that I have for running in the cold. I live in the Chicago area. I grew up in Iowa, so I'm familiar with some decently cold weather. We definitely get some -30 wind chills on occasion here in the winter. So I wanted to share some of my tips and see too if anybody might have any tips that they would like to share. So when you are running in the cold, one of the most important things to know is that sweat can be a big enemy for you if you're wearing honestly non-synthetic fibers. So using moisture wicking materials are going to, moisture wicking materials, it's going to help your sweat evaporate more quickly, which is actually going to help you keep warmer. So if you use something like cotton, what it does is it just soaks up moisture and kind of holds it. The analogy I like to use for that is if you think about your cotton bath towel that you use when you get out of the shower, you towel off with it and it stays wet for a really long time, right? And cotton, apparel, cotton socks, it does the exact same thing, which is why especially for winter running, things like either wool or synthetic materials, especially as your base layer, is super important. So make sure that you have moisture wicking socks. Make sure that any of your base layer is moisture wicking. Layers on top of that, not quite as important, but not a bad idea to have some moisture wicking materials for outer layers too, especially something like an outer shell if it is snowing or if there is precipitation will help out with that. Also will help cut wind from cutting through the fibers too, or cutting through your apparel. And I'm a big fan of running in cold weather too. Temperatures in the 40s are probably my favorites to run in. But yes, so making sure that you have that good base layer to wick away moisture. Make sure too that you're dressing in layers, which will help keep you warmer. Especially make sure that you have extra layers on your core. So even if it's kind of mid-temperature, mid-temperature, something like a vest, or you could even throw on, honestly, like a tank top over another, that's hardcore, something to keep your core warm. That's really going to help you feel more comfortable, and it's going to help keep you safe. Make sure, obviously, that you're wearing, once it gets cold, things like hats, gloves, that sort of thing. You want to take care of your extremities. Mittens will often be a little warmer than gloves, so definitely consider throwing those on. So yes, those are some of my big tips. Also, just making sure that you're properly dressed. Take a look at the weather. Make sure that you have, and especially if you're going on a longer run, make sure that you're wearing enough layers. It's always easier, to take off layers. Even if you have to wrap a jacket around your waist, that sort of thing. Just want to make sure that you don't get too cold out there. And then be aware of your footwear too. Making sure that you've got a good grip on your shoes. If it's icy out, maybe using something like Yak Trax, watching your step, obviously, being very careful with that. And thicker socks, even something like Gore-Tex shoes, really great for keeping the feet dry and for grips.